Anya, I have been looking forward to speaking with you. Thank you so much for coming on Realistic Happiness podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Happy to be here.
So, what are you hoping if someone's hopping on and listening to this episode? What are you hoping for them to learn from you today?
I think three things. First of all, to understand what happiness is about, how they can approach their own happiness and make their life more fulfilled. Yeah.
Big topics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very big topics that
Yeah.
I think we're trying to achieve with the channel as well, hence the name Realistic Happiness.
Yes.
So I feel like, like in a video game, you're like the final boss for the podcast.
Which is true. It's a good point, right? Yeah. I like it.
So why do you feel like, Anya, we chase happiness relentlessly?
Yeah, I was reflecting why this race, why this chase. I would say it's a bigger topic because when we look at our society, unfortunately the biggest challenge in the 21st century is and will be one of the sickness that every third person possibly can experience is depression, according to World Health Organization. So one of the reasons why maybe people are chasing, because it's a contradiction to something that you don't want to experience. And apart from depression, there is a lot well, not only emotion, but the stage of loneliness. So perhaps people are chasing happiness not to feel lonely. And the third thing that is, well, running this world is the business, sales. So buying different things that give us, well, the moment of joy and happiness, because maybe we want to escape from loneliness. So yeah, I think that's there are the three reasons why people are chasing now so much the happiness.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, especially like external
Yeah.
things, right? Like, oh, if I buy a new hair product and my hair looks good, then I finally feel good about myself. Or if I buy a membership, to the gym, I'll make friends. And like, I can totally relate to that. Like filling that void. I've been like a clothing shopping addict to the point I was buying like hundreds of euros worth of clothes. And now I have this full wardrobe full of clothes I'll never wear. And it didn't do anything like looking good or spending all my money on things never filled that hole within, which was loneliness, which was lack of happiness.
Perhaps, but also I would say it's also a tricky thing because nowadays we are surrounded with so many commercials, media, Black Fridays, and so on. And we are very vulnerable to those commercials, to those signs like buy it, you will feel happier, sign it up, you will maybe need to meet new friends. So I think we have a huge challenge here as a human beings to be more resistant with the all well media, but also the commercials that are like, come on, like it, try it, buy it. So it's a challenge. So I can imagine buying those things. Well, you might feel happy for a few seconds, but what next or what afterwards? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like the dopamine you get with the purchase, right?
Yes. Also, like with the social media, like, oh, dopamine. Oh, I bought it. Oh, I have it. Yeah, it is this gratification that we are looking for a short time. But with the loneliness, how I
Yeah.
would say, it's also the tricky thing because at least in the part of the world where we live, there is a more individualistic approach, but also in the whole planet where we live, the technology really rules, which means we spend more time with maybe television, phones, the things that we think are so interesting here and engaging. And also those smart companies, they know how to design everything that we are more engaged into those devices. So that's why I'm saying we really have a lot to learn and challenge ourselves with this, what we, in the end, we are designing ourselves as well. So let's hope for this, that at some point we will feel the need to connect again with ourselves, people around us, the communities, the environments where we live.
So how do we connect with ourselves?
How do we connect with ourselves? Well, first of all, it requires to slow down, and that's a challenge, really to slow down. Imagine that you are driving on a highway and you can drive 180, but you can also drive 100. So, what to do that you can slow down? The need needs to come. Really, the need needs to come that there is a race and you can actually make a stop, have a drink of water, look around, really connect with yourself and your needs, to feel what is important to you. So slowing down, it's not easy
Mm.
uh, because many people around us are running.
And the pressure, like societal pressure of like always hustling, always doing that things, having hobbies, side hustles, being social, like there's just this constant pressure.
It's a so good point. It is true. It's not easy just to get, to your room and be like, okay, I'm turning off everything what is happening around. But in the end, right, how to deal with the pressure next to you. So it's a big art. It's really big art.
We tend to chase happiness, but what that might be is something else, right? There's a difference between happiness and pleasure.
Definitely. And to talk about differences between what is pleasure and happiness, I would like to maybe first address what happiness is or not. And for that reason, I brought a picture that I would like to present to you. I'm wondering what will be your first association when you're going to see it.
Okay.
Um, at some point, it was quite popular, and yeah.
My association, everyone on their phones is the first thing I see.
Yeah.
And then, but there's a lady in the front
Yeah.
who's paying attention and present.
Yeah. The only person that is experiencing here and now the moment. That was premiere of one of the movies in United States, and that picture was taken. So you can see everyone is taking pictures, focusing on this, what is happening there and now, and she's just observing. She's just watching. She's in the moment. Beautiful because she's surrounded with many people, but she's here and there and now. And that's, I think, one of the not maybe definitions, but showing what happiness is about: being in the moment, enjoying it, being aware of it. Yeah, that was her purpose, probably. The rest of people we would need to interview.
Yes. I
So,
just
yeah,
it's really unbelievable. I've seen this before as well in
yeah,
concerts where people
yeah,
are like taking videos and stuff of the
yeah,
concert instead of actually
yeah.
what we used to do, which was just
L-
enjoy
live with the
and
moment.
yeah, and feel the temperature in the room and hear all the noise of the crowd cheering and listening to the music, the beautiful music that the artists are
Yeah,
creating. And it's really sad.
it is sad to a certain moment. Of course, you want to see later your memories. It's okay to record those memories, but also to see, okay, where is the between line, to live with that or just record your life. So I think that's just what happiness is about, to see what suits you. That's first, what suits you, what the need is, and being in the moment, and not only be maybe the author and observing through the lenses. And I think that's important in happiness. But that's also my experience, my life experience. And I also would like to give some examples from scientific perspective. After all, after positive psychology, I could surround myself with more professors who are also researching the topic of happiness. And I would like to quote one definition of happiness by one professor. Let me read it. So, happiness is the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well being, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. Sonia Lubomirski, she's a psychologist and professor at the University of California. And I think that is what happiness is about. It's about the joy, also satisfaction, long term, not only short term, meaning, and the life is good because life can be good. But also, what I discovered through the scientific approach, in a philosophical approach, happiness is also a sensual pleasure, can be, but also it can be eudaimonia. And later I will say what eudaimonia is. And according to World Health Organization, happiness is a quality of life.
Okay.
So that's important and good to know what happiness is about. And to answer your question, because I gave here now a bit of examples from philosophy, but also the scientific approach, what is the differences between happiness and pleasure? So I said the word eudaimonia, and there's hedonism. Both are happiness. So hedonism, it's the pleasure here and now with like having a chocolate, or maybe even having a good sex.
Mm.
So something that is more fulfilled with our senses. And eudaimonia is that you know that there are good things in your life with the meaning, with the purpose. And both are needed. What is important that you just don't go fully to hedonism. Like you mentioned the example of buying many clothes and then so what? But maybe you will go with one of the dresses to the very important birthday party of your friends. And so on and so on and so on. So it's important to having both in your life, but not just go extremely to, I would say, one of the other. So the combination. Yeah.
I agree. Because even on the other end of it,
Yeah.
like just chasing long-term happiness, you're not, living in the now.
Exactly. So for what we are doing this chase, like what is the goal of it? That's the question. Instead of just cherishing this, what you have already in life.
It's really, it's mind-blowing. It sounds like happiness is several things, like the quality of life, like World Health Organization said, but also fulfillment, joy in general, just appreciating life and seeing it as a long-term thing. And then we also simultaneously need the little pleasures. We need to appreciate the little things, like that piece of chocolate we've been wanting all day, or sending a voice note to a friend, for example. And
Morning coffee,
morning coffee.
morning tea.
Yeah.
These are those moments of happiness. Maybe there's this myth that happiness needs to be big.
Mm. Yeah, like a wedding, like a celebration, like an award.
Because it is, but it will pass. So it's important to pay attention and be reflective of this, what is every day. And that's an art.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how do we then, in a world where we celebrate things all the time, take LinkedIn or Instagram, for example, like I just passed my driving test. I just got a certificate for this. I just got a new job. And it looks like that's the only way to be like, fulfilled, but only for 10 minutes.
Yeah, the big achievements, they are very important because we put a lot of effort. And I think to recognize them, what is sometimes happening that we post it, we said it, and then you look for the next.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the brain works, right? So that's also natural because the brain is thinking, okay, to-do list, what is next? What is next? And this is with the moment of happiness living here and now. Okay, let's celebrate together. Let's just enjoy. I got this new job. Nice. Let's talk about it, how I did it. That's good to talk about experiences. Yeah, not only to post, but say your whole path
Oh, okay.
experiences.
So this would be like a healthy approach to the combination of both pleasure and happiness.
I think it's between just to reach a goal and not forgetting what was the path to reach the goal. Yeah, so you also acknowledge this path.
And share it with others.
Definitely. And this is what happiness is about, sharing, talking. This is how you will build your relationships professionally, personally. Yeah, definitely.
But what about those who are lonely, who are introverted, who say they don't like to share?
I think it's also good to definitely realize. Now I'm reflecting about the group of friends, also family and professionals who are definitely are more prefer not to shine not to share, well, keep it for yourself. It's also good. Ask yourself how you would like to share it. Maybe with one person, maybe not, but it's important to acknowledge. So I think to find the way that it suits you, that you prefers. If you would ask me now what would be the way, I could ask the same question. What would be the way?
Mm.
Maybe just, I don't know, reading a nice book. Maybe to go to see a movie cinema. So you can celebrate it in many ways, but it's important that it suits your character. Yeah.
I think the issue I have and other people have, and maybe you have this too, is it can feel like bragging, when you're like, you work so hard for this thing, maybe in silence, and then you finally reach that goal and
Mm.
you're happy and you're like, I want to tell people, but
Yes.
it just feels like you're like bragging and you just want to tell everyone how amazing you are, etc. And you get not imposter syndrome, but you get this feeling like, oh, maybe I should play it down. Maybe it's not as amazing as I thought it would be. And it takes away from that like pure happiness that you're feeling at that moment.
When you say that out loud, I would rather put it, if you don't have someone around you to share it, then physically it's more challenging to actually talk about it. I think to talk about the achievements, celebrations, it's so positive. That's the positivity.
Mm.
That's we want more in our life, the good things. Well, why this inner critic is saying don't share it? Maybe because you don't feel yet confident about it, but I mean, just share it. Probably, I would say it's rather the question: what is the tone you share it,
Mm.
the way you communicate? But just to say, hey, I got this job. Hey, I work on this project so hard. It's amazing. It was me, but also other team members. I mean, let's share more positivity in this world. We need that.
Yes, we do. Instead of just spreading hatred or spreading rumors and gossip and
Definitely. And I think this is also what is the coming back to the beginning of the chase after happiness, or maybe having those different type of reflections. I should not share it because also in the news, well, newspapers, we read or hear a lot about negativity, right? So we are kind of getting this information every day, and then how to create this more positivity. So I think by those small gestures, celebrations, achievements, definitely we should go against those negative ones. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Like negativity, anger sells because to trigger people is very easy.
That sale. That is the what is sales is about, because that is well how our mind is wired. We pay more attention what is negative than positive. So that's why we need this more positivity to deal with this negativity. Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do with this channel.
Yeah, definitely. Great, 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 great. No, really happy that you also helping in the well society and in the environment, hopefully with this channel. Yeah.
You just reminded me as well when I go on Instagram, for example, I see like wellness coaches, etc., and they also frame it like you're dealing with negative stuff, like, are you XYZ? Are you, I don't know, have stressed all the time? Are you
Mm,
struggling to lose weight? Do you have cortisol? Then my program, my wellness program might be for you. So even like the wellness industry
yeah.
can be a bit, and the mental health kind of industry can be a bit tainted.
Because well, they are trying to figure out how they can help, probably, but sometimes it is framed in that way that it can touch your weaker points.
Mm.
So there is a lot to do, how to transition this more into the positive one, that you can feel better, that you can be healthier,
Mm.
that you can have a long-term life. It's a lot of work in terms of also how we communicate. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how we can then, if we're trying to spread a positive message, for example, this podcast or what you're doing, I find that if it's just happy washed, like, oh, look at us. Oh, yeah, you can be jolly like us. Like, that's not what we're trying to do, or like the wellness industry either. it's just about cognitive reframing, right? Like that you have the power in yourself, and that person, that coach, that wellness instructor, us, the podcast, right? And you as well coming on the podcast, we're just trying to tell you, like relate to you in a way that like you are wise, you've got this, we like humans are very intelligent, we know how to fix things, but we go into this like victim mindset, right? So I feel like when you're in that negative mindset, negative things like it appeals to you more, right? So how would, for example, this podcast or you like approach that in a way that's, you know, reframing the narrative and it's more positive?
Um, it caught me something when you said something that we're trying all the time to fix something. And I'm like, why we have to fix all the time something? Do we have to fix something with ourselves? Or we can just leave it as it is? I would rather say it's good to, and that's also a big thing to practice, coming with openness, curiosity, and something that I think it's not easy for everyone, with kindness. And that's really relevant when we think about how we want to live, I don't know, healthier, happier, or just the way we live. The another part that comes to me, what about the acceptance? Why we cannot just accept the things as they are, as the life is? And I'm not talking that we should not do anything about the negativity, but sometimes just accept that how we look, where we live, what is our type of job, more acceptance to give to ourselves and be okay with that. And that is the sustainable happiness. The sustainable happiness is that you are okay with yourself, with others, and with the environment. And I think that is a tricky because when we all the time think, oh, how I can perform better, how I can present myself better, what job should I have that it looks better, or maybe I should even earn more, and so on and so on and so on. It's a spiral. Uh, More acceptance, really.
And sustainable happiness.
Also, sustainable happiness is related with the environment. So, for instance, even how much we use the electricity, if we recycle, that's also the sustainable happiness. But also related what type of communities we are participating in, uh, even like volunteering, helping others. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you're the one who studied psychology, so you can counter this. But I feel like as a individual, protecting myself, so
Mm.
not overthinking about my environment. And for example, I was waiting at the metro station the other day, and there was this lady, poor lady, with a blanket, like sleeping at
Mm.
the metro station, and I really was like, oh my God, like I don't want to wake her up, but I'd love to like speak with her and understand like how she got into this situation, if there's anything I can do. But I felt like there was two people next to me as well, and they completely like they were not looking, they were just ignoring and waiting for the metro. And I was just thinking like, why? Like, do they feel like me? Or are they just, you know, protecting themselves because that's an issue outside of their control? It's an issue that doesn't relate to them directly. But I just was like, okay, like I need to, like, I can't fix the world, right? That's just one person. I'm sure the government is doing something about it. I should just head to work, you know, like that's my priority. I don't want to be late for work. So I wonder if it's just like a safety thing for us not to overthink about every little thing and, you know, practice gratitude as well, like thinking every minuscule detail because it's exhausting, isn't it?
It is. Well, I think we are not prepared to save everyone in the world. That's one. We don't have so much capacities. But on the other hand, also helping others, it's important. And talking about the situation with the lady at the metro, well, we don't know her story. We don't know if this is the choice she made or maybe not. And some people maybe they don't even know what to do,
Mm.
and they don't even know what to say. So it can have a lot of context and a lot of meaning. But I would rather say like paying attention. Also navigate with your inner compass. if you wanted to help her or even ask, you could, but first ask if that was the right moment. Not everyone wants to be, it's like, how can I help you? Because you don't know the person. But at the same time, when you mentioned about the other people, not judging.
Mm.
And I think that that is also part of the well-being and happiness, not to bring so much of this judgment mindset.
I find myself doing it a lot, and I catch myself. Yeah. Is it normal? Do you find yourself doing it as well?
We all have it. We all have it, and it's good to be aware of it. And I was kind of like, why am I judging right now myself? Am I talking here in the correct way? Do we give good enough information or happiness? It's good. Should I be happy? Should my neighbor be happy?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's judgment, no judgment. But I think sometimes just let them come in and see like what they want from you. There is a reasons why the judgments are also coming, but it's important that there is no spiral and you're like, okay, and this and this and I should have this. No, my neighbor is working there. I should also work there. Maybe someone else is doing the podcast. Maybe I should check what they are doing in this podcast, and so on and so on. So it's natural, but at the same time, be aware of it and see if that gives you some information or actually taking you away from something that is really important to you.
Awareness is the first step. It can be an annoying first step because you are constantly thinking.
Yes. Yes. By the way, Christian, do you know how many thoughts do we produce per day? Our brain, actually.
I know it's a lot.
It's a lot.
What is it?
Around 70,000. Around 70,000 thoughts we are producing. So that's why it's so challenging to. And those thoughts are coming to different regions, let's say, and a lot of them are not even neutral or positive. They can be a lot of and negative, and that's why it's so not easy to maybe stay neutral or keep the mind in the moment, enjoy. So that's why we really need to put a lot of work on it.
Has it always been 70,000, even back in the day when we didn't have social media and stimulation?
Yes. So imagine now with social media. No, it's the same. It's the same. It's just that you have even more to read and check. So your cognitive capacities are need to be more engaged in that sense.
Gosh.
But one thing that you mentioned it, and I think what can help, even though we are thinking so much, is the gratitude. So to practice, gratefulness and how we can be more grateful in our life. Later we can talk how to actually put it in practice.
Yeah, because we hear it all the time, and it's a science-backed way to be a bit more positive and reframe your life and your mindset in a more positive way.
And your question would be how to do it, or
I think it's more the resistance. Like, for example, I know that gratitude works, right? I have a gratitude journal somewhere that I have to, that I would like to fill in every day.
Yeah.
But I am resistant to it. And so many people are. Like, I've told people as well, like, gratitude bombing is amazing. So, like, setting a timer on your phone and just thinking of 3 things you're grateful for at that moment, just to kind of reframe the rest of the day. I love doing that. But there's a resistance to it, Anya, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the question would be from where the resistance comes from. I would give metaphor a bit with the we had wellness coach with the gym or exercises. Is it easy to go even for a run outside when it's raining, maybe 5 degrees, there is no sun? It's hard, no?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
No,
hard.
I don't want to do. I don't want to think about it. Yeah.
Something similar with practicing the gratefulness, how to be more grateful in our life. It requires actually our attention, making time, and maybe go through this discomfort. That's what we need to actually go through the discomfort. There's no magic pill that I will give you now and say, hey, this is how you can be more positive or happy or having more gratitude in your life. It is work as well. not the work that you need to go to the place and serve something or I don't know, talk about something, but you need to really focus on it, and because you need to connect with yourself, discover there what is inside you, and maybe that's the discomfort. But coming back to the metaphor of running, and when you get those shoes, you dress up, you go through this door, and you run, even if it's rainy and cold, and you start to warm up. You start to feel the beat. Maybe you have your favorite music, who knows? And then maybe you run 10, 15 minutes, doesn't matter. And afterwards, you feel so much joy and satisfaction. The same with practicing, for instance, the gratefulness. So also prepare the conditions, but I would say what that gives you, why you should practice it, what is the purpose of it, why you want to run, why you want to have more positivity in your life. That's the questions people should ask themselves and not be just like, okay, now I will write those 3 things, but why? Maybe you can write 10 instead of 3. I'm joking, of course, not 10. That's not about the list, but rather just to pay attention and connect.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
I always find after doing the gratitude journal that I don't know, my day feels lighter. I feel like that coffee just tastes a bit better, and a hug with Jamie, for example, just feels better. And just like my cats, I just look at them and they're like, oh, they're just little beings. Like it's so sweet.
Yeah.
And they're in my life and I'm grateful. And it's just that hurdle. It's just that, oh, I could spend that 10 minutes. I don't know. I fool myself. I'm like, I could spend that 10 minutes working, being productive. I could spend that 10 minutes, I don't know, researching something, like I always feel like that time I should put
Yeah.
into mindfulness and myself, that gratitude work. I just make excuses and I'm like, I could do this, I could do this. Like it's a waste of time. But I know that if I did that in the morning, that it would make me feel better the rest of the day. Therefore, be more productive and take better actions
Yeah.
and not eat junk food because I want to look after myself and, not make stupid decisions. I know that work needs to be done. And it's just that barrier, like you said, like if you want to go for that run,
Yeah.
it's frustrating. But I think it's just a matter of repeating it, doing it until it becomes less.
Also, that some things can become a habit. Also, the things between. Sometimes you also need this maybe unhealthy food to enjoy more the healthy food. Also to have and this is also what is important about the happiness. You can experience, I don't know, gratefulness, kindness, love, joy, of euphoria when you experience sadness, anger, loneliness, and that's important in life. Maybe that's why the chase is coming back all the time, because we are chasing away or running away from this what is not pleasurable. And we all the time just want to be happy, having joy. That's not possible. To experience that, we need to be sad.
I agree.
And that's why we are chasing so much. Because it's not easy to carry that discomfort.
I agree. But there's also a way to reframe that discomfort, right?
Of course. It takes also to accept. First, to accept the discomfort. And when you let it to sink in, it will also go away. And then you create space for this, what you feel maybe for, maybe this more moments with your partner, to hug your cats. When you were mentioning those all little small things, I saw how your body movement has changed, how you
Mm.
were more smiling, how you actually felt more like, I feel good.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's good to important to connect with the body, with the heart. And that's why it's not so easy.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just thinking back. I always think back actually to my time when I was born and raised in Italy, where we really didn't have a lot. Like
Yeah.
we lived in this very small apartment. It was very noisy where we lived. We were not well off. Like
Mm.
we didn't have like PlayStations or anything. We would play outside a lot, like with a battered up football,
Yeah.
soccer ball, because that's what we did. And I remember I felt like, I don't know, like pure joy. I just remember
Yeah.
all the photos I see of myself as a kid, like just pure joy. And I think I'm just always chasing that with things as an adult.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go back to that level. I don't want to go back to like having barely nothing. But then I think, if, what if that was the answer? Like just limiting myself to stuff and finding happiness from the very basic stuff. It plays on my mind a lot.
I'm super happy that you shared the memories from your childhood and from your country, because the memories are fueling you, and you know what is important to you. And maybe you would like to have those type of more experiences again, uh, being around the family, or maybe with those neighbors or friends, being more outside. And of course, those nice memories when we were children, then they are giving us a lot of pleasure, which we can also create them here and now. And I think the happiness is also about creating the meaningful relationships. And you don't have to have plenty of friends. One person, a good person, this quality, right? The
Mm,
happiness is also the good life is the quality. So
mm,
quality of the relationships, which can be also related when people are living in the bigger cities. Sometimes it's a challenge, right? There's more, well, you are more anonymous, which is very normal for bigger cities. But you can find your community, and the small one, with neighbors or with the, I don't know, maybe things that are in your interest. Maybe there's community for podcast people.
maybe I've not found it yet. I noticed here in Amsterdam, like it's not huge, but it is a city.
It
There's
is.
millions of people here, and I think it's the algorithm. But because I joined one community, a lot of them keep popping up, and I've like registered to them, and they're small, and I like small, intimate communities, but about specific things. There's like what is this one called? The offline community in Amsterdam,
Yeah. Nice.
which I would love to go to one of their events. Is like basically you put your phone in a locker, and then you
Nice.
actually literally they have card games, dominoes, like everything, and you actually
You're with
like the
people.
90s, like
Yeah.
hang out with people and you draw things together and you look at boats in the canal. Like it was super super cool, and more things like that popped up, like Amsterdam Girlies, which is like a female led community where they do like last week they decorated a Christmas ornament together as a
Nice.
group, and they have dinner together and stuff like that, like very meaningful, like small groups. And I feel like a lot of people are craving that at the moment, not like popular groups or like going out partying all the time. It's like similar interests
Yes.
and like just finding those connections. But do you feel like then there is a difference between living in a big city, like your environment, versus a village, for example?
Well, I not only feeling this, but there are also researches done in the, well, sociology, but also in psychology. Then, of course, when you live in a big city, it's a different pace of life. It is just faster, more dynamic. Well, depends what you do, but it's faster. Well, when you live in a huge agglomeration, you need to commute longer. In smaller places, it's easier because it can be your neighbor, just opposite you, or because, well, things are closer to you. Depends what you want to do. I mean, with your hobbies or activities. And that creates probably also more stress in bigger cities because of the tempo, the pace. So in that sense, it's sometimes it's more challenging. I used to live in Warsaw. There are like 2 million people. Now I live in The Hague, around 500,000. I definitely observe differences. Slower pace of life. Children are playing on the street. You can just say hi to your neighbor. I can cycle everywhere. I don't have to go by car or even by tram. It just changes the quality of your life.
Yeah, I have the opposite where I came from a small town. So then I moved here, where I felt really scared, really lonely, really like,
Mm,
oh my God, the world's my oyster. I can do anything because I can just recreate myself and my life. And now I'm grateful I'm here. So I like the opportunities, the different communities you can tap into, the different people you can meet. I'm very social. So I like that aspect of a city. Yeah, so I have the opposite story. Like I found my peace here.
because it's also related with the, well, the needs in your life and the stage where you are now. Probably it is different when you are teenage, when you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. So also the lifestyle and what you prefer in your in your life. There are also now many programs where you can see that people are maybe in their 50s. They're like, okay, let's move out from the big city. Maybe let's go to even abroad, to those small places, more with nature, because they just want to slow down. So it really depends what is the moment of your life. If you need this actually pace, because this is what feeds you now, or you just want to more have nature and slow down. And I think that is really relevant to connect this. What is now important to you? To have those many communities, big city vibe, activities, or like, okay, I'm done. I have it. I can change though. So, and that's very normal. This is the diversity, right? This is how it should be. Happiness is about the diversity as well, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I like, thank you for confirming as well, like that you can change your life as well.
Yeah. I mean, it is very normal that your life is changing. Maybe some people are living the whole life in those same villages or the same cities. There are those people because this is the characters. Yeah.
It's so interesting. There's so much to tap into, and we haven't even discussed like generational differences with happiness.
We will. We
We
will.
can.
We can. Also, the differences between Italy or like what's happiness in
The
different.
countries, yeah, yeah. Let's get into that. So let's go into generational
Yeah.
first. So like I think like all the generations, like the younger generation are more online or more on social media, gratification, versus yeah, like Gen X, for example, where it's just they know what happiness, they compare the happiness to what it was to what it is now. Everything feels different. I'd love to hear about your thoughts.
Also interesting that we are now phrasing those different generations. Also, I was thinking about boomers, people who were born in 1940s, because
Mm.
they are still alive. Let's not forget about them. And what about who were born in 18th, 17th, 18th century? Now, of course, we won't go back so to those times. We can still focus on the 20th and 21st century because it's more relevant to us. So the differences between generations, it is dictated by the history, political situation, economy, and region. So the part of the world where we are located, it is really dictating a lot. So there is no one thing to say, okay, that's why this generation is that way. But to your point, it is true that those who were born at the end of 90s or at the beginning of 2000, this is definitely the generation that is immersed and raised and born with the technology. So it's also a different approach to happiness in life. Definitely, you can say they are like citizens of the world. They are so open to everything. For them, it seems the things are coming so easy. Also, maybe the challenge, they need a lot of immediate gratification. So that's why we talk about this, yeah, hedonism and eudaimonia. So it's good to have both and not only this immediate gratification. And definitely what I observe with those who were born by the end of 90s and 2000, they are also thinking more about the future, what's going to happen to them, which is really important in terms of the environment and politics. But at the same time, to live again more with what is here and now and creating the relationships. That is the challenge for this generation, how to actually have this conversation without any technology. When you were born with this technology, you don't know how it can be without. You said, oh, we went to this place where we could just put our phones away and we have those board games. How simple, how difficult for this generation it is. So I would say happiness for them is probably this gratification, technology, but I think they are very open for the whole world and to experiences. So I think that is where they drive their joy in life. Millennials, because we call them also millennials, that was the generation that discovered work-life balance. That the work is not the only one purpose in your life.
Me.
So do I. And it's also not easy discovery, right?
Mm.
Also, we experienced the whole transition with the technology. Yeah, and how to adjust to it when the youngest one already born with it.
Mm.
But what we brought this is the work-life balance, discovery of it, that there is something else beyond the work. And the generation before, and for them, the purpose was a lot about the work, because also the economy has changed. The political situation has changed. And it was important that you can bring to your family a good life, right? And the generation before, from obvious reason, the safety and security, right? So for every generation, there was something else, but we live all together in the same global village. So it's important that we learn from each other and support each other, I would say. Yeah. And that's also an art and challenge, how to exchange and understand other perspectives and respect it.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. Like when you word it like this, we have so much we can offer each other.
Yeah, definitely. And it's difficult at the same time, right? Because for me, it's easier to imagine world without technology, where for some generation, like how can you just go to this room without your phone? And for another generation, how can you not think only like where you will work, what will be your status, how much money you will earn to give your family or yourself a good life, right? So, but even listening to each other and sharing the experiences is already good enough.
And I think it has to be reciprocated, the openness to give feedback and listen, right? Because I've had it, my friends have had it, you've probably had it too. Like when you consult your parents or your grandparents or your aunts, for example, and they've lived a different life, right? And they try and apply that expertise to what you're currently doing. So when I told my mom about podcast and YouTube, she's just like,
What is that?
is that a real, is that like, can you make money from that? Like, is that
It's a real
real?
job.
Yeah, like, so I, because she doesn't understand, I just tell her all the good bits. I'm like, oh, look how many followers we have. Look how much money we made. And she's like, wow. Because she doesn't, if I give her too much info, then she feels like she has to give her input, but from what she knows.
And it's nice when you say about your mom. When I talk with people who are there in their early 20s and they try to explain me what type of job they do related with technology, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand this language. I don't know what you do. Maybe you can explain me that more. So I think it's important to give certain explanations so we can relate to it. So look at your mom and look, hey, I'm still young and I already don't understand everything what the younger generation is doing. Because I'm like, it's a job, you do it. But the same for my parents to explain what I do. It's also not easy. Those jobs didn't exist before. So yeah, we also need time and patience.
Yeah, and not to
Understand.
blame each generation. I find that there's this, especially on in the news, like, oh, Gen Z, like they're so terrible, they don't want to work, but then they're the most open-minded and working towards the future generation we've ever had. And then they say, oh, the boomers, they have a bad name, blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, let's not, like, why are we at war with each other? We've just lived different lives. Why don't we just educate each other and
Yes.
let each other in our worlds and see how we're gonna bloody navigate this thing.
Yeah, definitely. And something what to say about work. Actually, work is a huge meaning and purpose in our life that gives happiness. At work, we find friends. At work, some people find meaning and happiness, not for everyone, because that's also, it's a myth that work is our joy and happiness. But definitely, most of the people want to work in this world. They just would like to have probably work that they feel for more.
Mm.
But most of the people feel the purpose and belonging when they work. Also, the economic aspect is, of course, important, but you feel belonging, that your life means something. Probably, maybe for other generation that maybe you don't work 5 days or 6 days. Used to people work 7 days.
Mm.
And here in Netherlands, so we can work 4 days, even part-time. It's luxurious. So probably that's why those differences between generations, like how it's possible you can work only 2 or 3 days. Where used to I work 7 days. Yeah.
And it really depends what you're passionate about, what that work is for you, right? Because this could be seen as work, the fact that we're doing this right now. But the fact I don't see it as work and it's leisure, I can do more of this. So I could do this all the time. I could do this with X amount of guests a day
Yeah.
because it's fun. We're having a conversation, it's educational. Whilst if I was told, oh, you have to be a lawyer because you make loads of money, like this is your path, like I got brought up that way, then I'd be sat there like, oh my God, like it's only 2 p.m. Oh, like this is, I'm going to burn out. Like this is horrible, right? Like it's not the environment for me. So I can totally, like, it really depends, doesn't it? Like how you see work as work. But I do agree with you that it does give you purpose. It does give you meaning. It has to align.
But also what to say on top of that, because 85%, according to the Gallup population, is not feeling happy at work. It's a set number, but it's a realistic number. So also the acceptance that sometimes our work won't be the work that is the one. And that's why to create those opportunities, like for instance, you are doing a podcast. I used to give more to the culture centers workshops to feel more meaning in my life. So if the reality also, that's important with the happiness. What is the reality? If your reality doesn't give you possibility that you have the work that you feel meaningful, then maybe find the activities that can give you more this fuel. Of course, I wish everyone to have the jobs that they say, yes, I feel so happy at this work. But the reality is that it's not always like that.
Mm. But
And
you can shape your future that way. Like you said, by doing hobbies that fuel you.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Look where you have control.
And happiness looks different in different countries
Oh, yes.
as well, which is fun. I rabbit holed in this after our conversation. And I learned like in Japan, they have something different, and in Denmark, like it's really cool. And France as well, that I can't pronounce it, but it's like the La Vive
We will get
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, first of all, we both live in the Netherlands. I don't know if you know what is. Do you know what is how they describe the happiness here?
I know Mokum, but I
Uh-huh.
don't know if that's part of it.
It's gezellig.
Ah, yes.
They say gezellig. In Denmark is Hygge. In German, Gemütlichkeit. But that's more for that part of Europe or Scandinavian countries. For instance, in Japan is Ikigai. In Italy, La Dolce Vita.
Yes, which we love.
In Costa Rica, Pura Vida. In United States, American Dream. So definitely our, and that's great that our world is divided with this happiness. That happiness is experienced differently, felt differently, done differently.
Mm.
And the takeaway is like, I'm Polish and I'm not going to be Dutch. Someone is American, the person, maybe you can try to be French, but probably you won't be. So it's important is to know who you are and what happiness means to you. I definitely learned from this country, so from the Netherlands, this gezelligheid, so this coziness, especially in this season. We have now almost winter, so the candles. Okay, there are great days, but then you put more light, then you can play board games with your friends, or maybe you can read a good book. But of course, you have countries like Costa Rica or Australia or Tanzania, and there's warm there, so probably you are more outside. You are more with families, friends. That's nice about the happiness that is so diverse and different. Yeah, and in United States, people are going for achievements, reaching the goals.
Yes.
But this is also part of happiness. Those celebrations. I got a job. I got the raise. Yeah. I'm gonna go to this holiday. It's also good. So the combination, the mix, I would say. I definitely also like the Polish approach. We say it's gonna be somehow. So no matter what is happening, it's gonna be somehow. And that's the beauty about the happiness, the intercultural happiness, that it's diverse and you can maybe exchange and learn from each other. But definitely, I'm never gonna be fully gezellig like the Dutch because I'm Polish.
Yeah, and
And
I'm thinking of
and
like,
how it is for you, because you are also born in Italy, but you lived in Great Britain, and now you are in Netherlands.
does the UK have anything? I lived there. I don't. They're all pretty sad.
I was going to say, so the Americans have the American dream, which is, like we said about earlier, talking about our achievements. There, I feel like achievements are shared and you're raised up and everyone congratulates you and you're like, everyone's proud of your achievements.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK, it's more of this resentment or jealousy. Like you share an achievement and they're like, oh, good for you. Like, why is that not
It's
me?
true.
That's the kind
Yeah.
of mentality and an approach.
That's why I
like,
wondered if there was a. Does England have something?
I don't recognize any. I would say like there is this Hygge or Pura Vida. I haven't learned anything about United Kingdom. However, there is done a lot in terms of happiness, researches, programs, institutions. So in that sense, it's really done there a lot.
Because they're always searching for it.
This is the choice after the, or actually they want to acknowledge it more or learn more about it. Also, that is also important when we talk even about culture differences and happiness. Reading about happiness, learning about happiness can really help to maybe not transition, but shift your mindset.
Can you explain to us, for example, Hygge
Yeah.
and Ikigai is a really popular one.
Yeah.
And there's also in Sweden, what is the coffee time? The word, I forgot the name.
Ika? No, Ika, something that way.
Yeah, where they take a minute to
Yeah.
just have the coffee.
Yes. And the question is, what is the differences between all?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, first of all, the culture differences. There are culture differences. So, for instance, I think Denmark is also important to know. You can check that on the 21st of March or 20th of March is the International Day of Happiness.
I want to go there.
And once per year, there's like, I think it's a live session or conference, but there is also World Happiness Report where you can see which countries are in the top 10. Most of the time, usually are the Scandinavian countries. So coming back to the Hygge and Denmark, they say that the key to happiness are small expectations, which is true. It's also the expectations in life, right? If I expect a huge house, if I expect a big job, if I expect having a coffee, candles. And I think the Scandinavian people also, because till a certain point of the climate, more rain, gray. That's why you have more this coziness, closeness with the people next to you and just enjoying this coffee. The same in Sweden. Whereas, for instance, in Japan, the Ikigai, it's more about the purpose in your life, the meaning. But they also split this. It can be work, it can be family, what you do, your passion. So this Ikigai is also spread through different areas of your life. And on top of that, there's also Buddhism, right?
Mm.
So that's also dictates how happiness can be defined. This inner peace, acceptance, and probably what is more describes the cultures from maybe Asia, less of a resistance. So that's the Ikigai. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was learning about the different types because I was brought up with La Dolce Vita.
Yeah.
But for me, that's slow, like when I visit back, I'm like, this is so slow. Like everyone's at the beach. Come on, like let's actually do something meaningful, So I do like La Dolce Vita, like the flavors of the food and the sun and
Yeah.
like just feeling like time is unlimited, It's great. But then I was like, I need more. So I learned about Ikigai, and that's when I really was like, cool, like this resonates with me so much more. And when I went to Sweden and they had these moments, we'll have to put the caption of what the Swedish word is. When I used to work for a Swedish company, when they did this every day, like it's culture, like they do it at work. They literally, it was like 30 minutes, an hour, coffee and just talking. And I was like, I love it. I want to do this all the time. I resonate. So it's that balance, I think, of not like, it could seem a bit toxic just adopting one because like, oh, that's how life should be. I think learning about different cultures and like adapting it a bit, because I adapt all three really, like Dolce Vita, the Swedish concept, and Ikigai. That gives me balance because happiness isn't just one thing.
And that is how you described. You are looking for your recipe. Feel, experience the right recipe for yourself. I think it's not only finding, but feeling, experiencing. Happiness about also the experience, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Really nice to hear your recipe.
And what's your recipe?
Combination the same. I think my Polish roots are really strong ones, so somehow it's gonna be. Definitely, that's my happiness. This Hygge, Gezelligheid, Gemütlichkeit, so the candles, the tea, sitting in the garden on a hammock.
Sounds great.
Watching the sky. That's the moments. And definitely because, well, I'm also the trainer of mindfulness, so Ikigai, it also resonates a lot with me with this purpose and meaning. So happiness is also my purpose and meaning. Or meaning, actually, yeah. Through giving this happiness to others, I feel more happy. Or the well-being.
I can relate. I totally relate. I feel like when you give, it comes back twofold.
Yeah,
or tenfold, actually.
This is how it works. Yeah, sharing with others, giving, and actually, there is even more that when you give, you feel more happiness than when you receive.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way of wording it, and I think, on a lasting note, it was an experience you had recently, which was the silent retreat.
Yes,
you really pushed yourself to learn something new.
Yes,
and I'm just curious how that experience was because I'd love to try it one day.
It's a big journey. Is it a happiness journey? There are moments of joy and happiness in the silence. Definitely, there are moments of this, what we talk about at the beginning and during our conversation about the chase. So in the silence retreats, you actually can experience all type of emotions that sometimes we don't want to, and that's why we are going away. And it's good to feel, ground yourself, and just be with it. This is how you can also create more space. I think the very nice metaphor that I could give with the silence retreat, it's like when you have a garden and you plant your vegetables or, I don't know, trees, flowers, and you want that everything grows nicely, but you need to take care of it. So it means you also need to take those weeds, you need to clean it, fertilize it to grow. And I think the silent retreat, it's a really nice experience to learn about yourself, how you can take care of yourself as this inner garden. So if you don't fertilize, if you don't trim, don't cut, or create enough space for certain, I don't know, trees, plants, vegetables, then how they should grow. And this is what you can experience in perhaps everyone can have different experience, but to connect with your inner garden, what is happening in this garden, and how to take care of this garden. Yeah, that would be my metaphor, because everyone will have different experience. But this is what I can share from my side.
It sounds really transformative. How many days was it?
5 days.
Ooh.
5 days.
No phone,
No phone.
social media contact with others, like family. And
it was amazing to be without. Maybe first of all, I would say it's amazing to be without the old technology. you can really feel how your head, your body is resting. How many noises are surrounding us every day.
Mm.
It's really like you would be, oh, so this is how the world looks like. This is how it used to be. So that's why I'm saying it really takes a lot of work from us to deal with the daily technology that we are surrounded or addicted from. That's one. Being away from family sometimes it can be difficult because when you are close with someone, you want to see each other. And on top of that, then you can appreciate more those relationships. So that's also show you who is important in your life, why. And the moments when you go back, you are just having more joy, happiness to see that person, or friends, or pets, or kids. So that gives more perspectives. I think it's to see the life in perspectives. And this is what happiness is about, really to look at the things in perspectives.
I feel like, how was it for you? Because we're so used to when we have a question pop in our head, like, oh, what is the answer to this? Or, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Like, and then you just Google something like, oh, a remedy for this, or how do I deal with this? How was that, not relying on technology and just trying to find the answer on your own? Because that sounds terrifying.
I mean, then you can really see how you can trust yourself. We are humans, as you said, we are very intelligent. We have also our life experiences, intuition, um, knowledge that we have learned in different ways. It doesn't have to be always school. There's called what we like to call school of life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of wisdom in ourselves. And when you give the space for this wisdom, the things are coming. And also, what is important, you don't have to have answers for everything. None of the person of this in this world knows everything. Shouldn't. And also, it's okay not to know. See the acceptance, not to know. It's also okay. And saying that, okay, I don't know it. It's fine. I can maybe find it out if this is relevant to you. And if not, then not. Next.
It's refreshing. I think it's so nice. And then, are you still practicing moments of silence in your day to day after that retreat?
Yes, that was what I was very grateful for. I would love to even do so much more because when you experience for those 5 days those moments of silence, like, oh, I could do this and that. And of course, sometimes I came back to my old habits, but I'm accepting those old habits. So every day I meditate. It's wonderful. In the early morning, everything is in silence. People are still sleeping, and there's this silence moment for yourself. By the way, in head, you can have a lot of noise, but the meditation helps you to deal with the noise. Um, so definitely that morning movement, stretching, silence. This is what I brought with me back to my reality. And I would like to have more space to just drink my tea, smell my tea, and nothing else. And what I'm paying attention to, not to look at my phone after, let's say, 9:30 or 10 p.m.
Mm.
So I make at least 10, 11 hours of break from phone.
Yes, it's necessary. I've built this habit of DND, like do not
Yeah,
disturb on my phone,
yeah.
too much now, to the point where like I'm missing phone calls and stuff. I've missed a meeting the other day,
Ah.
a business meeting, whoops, because I put myself on do not disturb for the majority of the day. But it's really addictive. Like,
Because that gives you actually silence and peace, inner peace.
I think that's the perfect ending to the episode. Anya, we have a tradition where I don't ask the final question. We leave it to the fate of the cards.
Oh, so cool. Doom, da, doom, whatever comes will be.
And you can read it out.
What is something you have always wanted to try but haven't yet? Good question. I think I would like to try to play in theater plays.
Oh,
Yeah, as an actress.
really?
That is something that sits with me, and I haven't tried that yet.
A play
A
or
play, a
something?
theater play. It can be a comedy, it can be a drama. This is something what I always wanted to try.
You should.
At some point, now I'm experimenting with improvisation classes, so let's see where that goes.
Wow. And it's just something like a thought you get in the day, like, oh, I wish I was on the stage, like a intrusive thought.
And to really go to different characters
Mm.
and see how it is playing those different characters, and yes, be on the stage. Definitely.
I think you should do it. I think it was a sign. I think this card was your signal.
Go
Go,
for
do it. But you're doing something now, the improv, so that's good.
So improv is the start. But just to on note on the last note about the happiness, and for people who would like to maybe not practice happiness, but do something on a daily basis that gives them space for the happiness, then I would just say, like, check your needs, what is important to you in your life. Physical movement, definitely it's important. Relationships, people that you are surrounding with, and looking at the things in perspectives, and be okay with this what is not always perfect.
That was beautiful. That was the best summarization of the podcast. Anya, I've been looking forward to this for so long because it's, yeah, everything we're preaching, we're trying to practice here at Realistic Happiness. So thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you so much. And maybe later we can also write down maybe the books where people can learn more about the happiness.
Yes. And also, just briefly as well, please tell me what you're up to at the moment. And because you give workshops, right? At the moment.
So for instance, what I'm right now working at the moment, topics as mindful working, definitely related with happiness, mindfulness, to be in here now, and how actually to deal with stress. And more topics actually on nonviolent communication.
No, non-violent
communication.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, that's another episode.
Let's see how the episode goes. Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to learn from other speakers as well. Yeah.